Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about something pretty exciting in the Android gaming space, and that is Pluvia. Pluvia is a lightweight, unofficial Steam client for Android with the ability to play DRM-free games from your account and chat with friends. Pluvia is fresh on the scene here. This one is new, and under features they say view, download, and play games, and there's a star beside it. Due to technical limitations, some games may not work correctly or at all, such as DRM games. DRM stands for Subscribe to Mr. Sujano, or Digital Rights Management. Anyways, here they also say Steam Cloud integration for your cloud saves, allowing you to resume where you left off, and manage and chat with your friends. Some features are still in development and may not be working. So at the time of filming, version 1.0 is the first and latest release. And they say here you can view your game library, download games, execute DRM-free games, sync saves, and view friends list. Now, I don't know how often this will be updated. I'm hoping quite a bit here because this is just the first release. But at the same time, this is a pretty big step forward for unofficial Android Steam clients. Now, with that in mind, the developers behind this one say progress may be a little bit slow, and that's because they're just a team of two, but they are welcoming contributors for people who know what they're doing and want to help out. And the app uses Emulator under the hood to run games. Now, it is worth pointing out that this is not going to be perfect, not even close. It's the first implementation. There will be bugs, there will be issues, there will be compatibility issues, both with phones and games. And if you've got problems with Emulator, well, you're going to have problems with this, considering it uses Emulator. On top of that, they say here, at the moment there are no touch controls available. Pluvia only supports gamepad input or keyboard mouse input. Multiple gamepads is also not supported at the moment. And it does appear they will be putting this on Google Play. They say there would be a Play Store release as well, but they have been giving Pluvia trouble during submission process. Not surprised there. A lot of people seem to be having trouble submitting stuff on Google Play. Anyways, they say it's still ongoing, but there is a chance it does not end up working out for the Play Store. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know what's going on in the background for the Google Play Store. I mean, there's so much crap on that store already that doesn't seem to be ever taken down, and you wonder how it got on there in the first place, considering legitimate stuff has trouble getting on there. In my opinion here, the future of Pluvia looks pretty bright, and someone here has a suggestion. Could it be possible to use your application just to download the games and then run them in Emulator? And they say here, in a future update, I intend to make it possible to have Steam library folders like the actual Steam client. So it will be possible if I can get that feature in. And on a side note here, if you've got a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, Pluvia does not currently support it, so you will be out of luck if you've got one of those devices. The Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 is fantastic, but at the same time, not for Pluvia. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the matter in the comments below. What do you think about Pluvia on Android? Do you think it's going to be a game changer, or rather game enabler? Do you think this is going to be big, and do you think it's actually going to be able to hit the Google Play Store? Pluvia is 100% free, it's open source, and if you wanted to learn more about it, like everything I talk about, link will be in the description below at the bottom. And speaking about new and first releases, next up here we're talking about a brand new Game Boy and Game Boy Color emulator called MegaBoy. Now, some people may scoff at another Game Boy and Game Boy Color emulator, and some people may welcome another one to the party. And I would say a lot of people get their emulation start by emulating something like the NES or the Game Boy or something like that. So at the time of filming, version 1.0.0 is the first and latest release of MegaBoy. MegaBoy is available for Windows, Linux, Mac, or even in your browser. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm a big fan of new stuff, and I get excited about this stuff. I think this is a very good first release. I mean, this is very feature-packed for something just out of the gates. They've even got save states working already, and the web version is just icing on the cake. And on a quick side note here, they say although complete accuracy is not a goal for this emulator, I still tried to make it reasonably accurate by emulating CPU at cycle level and emulating PPU's internal pipeline. This allows it to play games like Pinball Deluxe and Prehistoric Man, known to have issues in many other emulators. Moving on, and we're talking about PlayStation 2 emulation with PCSX2, and PCSX2 got a few updates you may be interested in. Now, the first improvement here is minor, but it should be worth noting. They've made some memory card improvements for some minor speed improvements when saving and loading. This here is a very specific use case. If you're on Linux and you've got the Mate desktop environment and you were trying to use the screensaver inhibition checkbox, it now works. The lock screen won't pop on. And lastly here, they've added support for MemCard Pro 2 files, which I think a lot of people are going to be excited about. Well, if you've got a MemCard Pro 2. Next up, we're going up one generation and talking about PlayStation 3 emulation with RPCS3. And RPCS3 also got a number of improvements specifically for the PS Move. So one of the big things here for RPCS3 is the ability to configure mouse move handler buttons. Before, this was not an option. They were hard-coded in, and well, now there's a drop-down menu for you. Additionally, here for input, they now allow mapping keyboard keys to mouse buttons. So if you've got a keyboard and you wanted to use that instead of your mouse, you absolutely can. On top of that, for the PS Move, I think a lot of people will like this one. They've added a new button mapping for PS Move sensor orientation reset. In addition to all of the PS Move stuff, they've also added in more universal stuff. For example, they've added mute, unmute, and volume shortcuts. And they've also added in a trophy list to the home menu. Next up, we're talking about something that I'm not quite sure on what to make of yet. I'm leaning towards bad, but I could be wrong about that, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Anyways, the Linux Foundation announces the launch of supporters of Chromium-based browsers. Now, the reason I'm not quite sure of what to make about this is because over on the Chromium blog, they say in 2024, Google made over 100,000 commits to Chromium, accounting for 94% of the contributions. While we have no intention of reducing this investment, this is the important line here, we continue to welcome others stepping up to invest more. So Google has partnered with the Linux Foundation to launch the Supporters of Chromium-based Browsers initiative. The goal of this initiative is to foster a sustainable environment of open source contributions towards the health of the Chromium ecosystem, and financially support a community of developers who want to contribute to the project, encouraging widespread support and continued technological progress for Chromium embedders. Additionally here, several leading organizations have already pledged their support for the initiative, including Google, Meta, Microsoft, and Opera. And they say these organizations are committed to driving innovation in the Chromium ecosystem through their involvement in this initiative. Now, on one hand, I think this is great. I think it's great for Linux and the Linux Foundation. On the other hand, though, it kind of feels like Google is trying to offload this stuff. I could be wrong, but let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Is this good? Is this bad? I still don't know what to make of it. I think it's still a little bit early, although I do think it does have a lot of potential and it could be very good. Next up, we're talking about one of the hottest, if not the hottest, new desktop environment for Linux out there, and that is Cosmic by System76. And System76 has just published or just released Cosmic Alpha 5. Now, for those who may not be aware, Cosmic is written in Rust. It's not just for Pop! OS. It can be used by other distributions as well. And they're getting very close to a beta. In this new alpha here, they've got a new media player that seems to work. Additionally here, they've made refinements for monitors that have variable refresh rates. There's a brand new user settings page and even more, including a whole bunch, and not surprising, a whole bunch of bug fixes. Now, this is currently in alpha, so I would say it's nowhere near prime time just yet. But at the same time, if you like to tinker around with things, if you like to experiment with things and wanted to test it out, you absolutely can. When all is said and done and Cosmic is ready for prime time, I think it's going to be a widely adopted desktop environment. I mean, it's written in Rust, it's supposed to be snappy, it looks pretty good. And I think overall it's going to be exciting for a lot of people to test out. And continuing to talk about desktop environments, next up we're talking about KDE Plasma, which just released Beta 6.3. This again is not ready for prime time, but at the same time here, betas are sometimes fun. So with KDE Plasma 6.3, there is a whole bunch of work they've done to it. There's a whole bunch of fixes and brand new implementations. 6.3 introduces the ability to clone a panel, add keyboard shortcuts to tiling. There's updates to the Discover Package Manager and even more. And the stable version, I think, is expected around February 11th, so not too far from now. And speaking about stuff releasing, next up we're talking about stuff that's not releasing. If you are looking forward to the Sleeping Dogs movie, you're probably going to be disappointed to know that the movie is no longer in the works. This movie was announced back in 2017, and I mean, we're in 2025 now, so it's been 8 years and we haven't really heard a whole lot from the project, so no surprise it has been canceled. This happens quite a bit in Hollywood, and well, it's disappointing, but I mean, at the same time here, it's not unsurprising. Unless you were surprised, let me know your thoughts there. And speaking about surprises, next up here, I was not expecting this announcement from Nintendo. Nintendo has announced one of their next new consoles. and it's being made by Lego. It's the Nintendo Game Boy, a Lego version of it releasing in October 2025. Not the Switch 2, but I guess something cool, and no, you'll probably not be able to play Game Boy games on it. Anyways, let me know your thoughts about this one. I didn't mean to troll people with the video title, but I mean, at the same time here, it is kind of funny. And speaking about announcements, next up here, we're talking about the House of the Dead 2 Remake. If you're a fan of the House of the Dead 2, you're going to be a fan of the House of the Dead 2 Remake, or possibly. Anyways, here they just announced this one, and it is releasing this year, spring 2025. On a side note here, if you're wondering what gaming systems this is headed to, it's pretty much all of them, although I don't know if it's headed to the Switch 2 or not. It will be heading to the original Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, and PC via Steam and GOG. And continuing to talk about remasters and remakes, next up we're talking about The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. This is on Steam, it's available to wishlist, and it will be releasing spring as well, April 3rd, 2025. Now, there is something worth pointing out here. If I scroll down, it is requiring PlayStation Network. So if you don't have PSN, you're probably not going to be able to pick up this game. I mean, anywhere where PSN is, I'm assuming this game is going to be. And where PSN is not, I'm assuming this game is not going to be. And this seems to follow pretty much every single new release from PlayStation that is on PC. And speaking about releases, next up we're talking about something that is no longer releasing, and that is Transformers Reactive. So it turns out the studio is no longer going to be making this game. Progress on this game has halted, and the game officially has been cancelled. Now, if you are curious about this game and where it was in development, how it looked, and how it was going to play, there is a 6-minute and 27-second video over on X. And like everything we talk about, link will be in the description below. Overall, it looked like this game would be pretty fun to play, but it does look like it's quite a ways away from being completed. Unfortunately, I don't have any more details as to what exactly happened with the development of this game, what the problems were, what the holdup was, and why it was ultimately cancelled. I'm assuming we may find out some details in the future, and I don't even know if there's going to be a playable release of this game. I don't know if this will be released. Either way here, it's neat to see the video and see what could have been. And speaking about releases, next up, this one is a quick one here. Instead of canceling the game, they're just delaying it, so it's nothing to worry about yet if you're looking forward to Assassin's Creed Shadows. But if you're looking forward to Assassin's Creed Shadows, you're going to have to wait just a little bit longer. Assassin's Creed Shadows now releases March 20th, 2025. And speaking about March 20th, 2025, next up we're talking about Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. And Nintendo has just dropped a brand new trailer for this game, and yes, it is releasing on March 20th, 2025 as well. Additionally here, for people who pre-order the game, there will be an early purchase bonus. I'm not sure if that'll be available for other people afterwards for a fee or not as well, but there you go. And speaking about Nintendo stuff, next up we're talking about the Zelda reverse engineering team and Decompilation. It appears that Majora's Mask has reached 100% code decompiled. Now, we've talked about this stuff in the past, and I mean Ocarina of Time and Ship of Harkinian with their PC port, and Majora's Mask with 2 Ship, 2 Harkinian in that PC port. Anyways, here I would argue that it's cool to see Majora's Mask reach 100% code decompiled. And if you wanted to see the rest of the games, you can check that out too. I mean, Skyward Sword sitting at 3.77%. Breath of the Wild is sitting at a whopping 16.9%. Twilight Princess at 44%. The Minish Cap at 100%. So this is some pretty significant progress in terms of reverse engineering. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. Now, a few people have been asking about timestamps in my videos. Almost all of my videos have timestamps in the description. Sometimes YouTube doesn't load them correctly in my videos. If that's the case, just refresh and hopefully they load up. And if they don't, I'll try to tweak it so they load up better afterwards. Just let me know they're not showing up. It's a very weird thing. At the very least, they are in the description, so you can just select stuff from there. Anyways, we talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.